From Studio A in beautiful One Biloxi Square in Lake Worth, Texas. Welcome in, everybody, to the Grandpa and Pappy Show.
Yep, indeed.
It is good to have everybody with us. Pappy, hope you had a good Memorial Day.
I had a great Memorial Day.
And we hope all of you.
Yourself?
Oh yeah, it was okay.
Groovy, great.
Yeah, I didn't go out to the lake or didn't go picnicking or anything that you normally do on.
Well, we barbecued on a very rainy day.
Yeah,
we stopped at Spring Creek and picked up some stuff to go and went to Ain't Lou's. So
well,
we could barbecue at Ain't Lou's. We had barbecue at Ain't Lou's on Memorial Day, so worked out well.
You know, people say, "Oh my God, it's a 3-day holiday." We've been on a 2-month holiday.
Yeah.
You know, for all of us on this quarantine crap.
All of a sudden, weekends and holidays don't matter anymore.
No, and we struggle with keeping up with the dates.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the times.
Not me.
We want to start this off by telling everybody today's subject is a little touchy.
Yeah.
And we got quite a few comments in on it. Want to warn you, there are some of these comments that may upset you.
Yeah.
But it is your opinions, and that's what this show is all about, Pappy.
And in all fairness, your comment might upset somebody else, so it's pro-choice. Everybody's right to choose what they want to feel and say.
That's what our program is.
What it's all about.
Today, is it a woman's right to choose?
Yeah.
And like I said, we came, we conquered. No, all of the comments that we got, and even Pappy got into a, shall we say, an animated discussion with one of our viewers on Facebook.
It was nice.
It was all nice and respectful. It really was, and but it was fun to read the banter, you know, between the two of you.
Well, you know me. I've been
we did a little
banter from time to time. So
we did a little research, and the thing about the women's right to choose came about, Pappy, with the Roe versus Wade decision by the Supreme Court back in '73.
And before we get started, Amigo, you really can't get into women's right to choose without getting into women's rights, period, and how it spawned and how it developed. And
that's true.
And all that. And I did a little bit of research on that I'll share with you here in a little while. So, but anyway.
The Roe versus Wade decision back in '73 was a landmark decision of the U.S. Supreme Court in which the court ruled that the Constitution of the United States protects a pregnant woman's liberty to choose to have an abortion without excessive government restriction. Mm-hmm. The Roe versus Wade reshaped U.S. politics also, Pappy, dividing much of the United States into abortion rights and anti-abortion movements while activating grassroots movements on both sides.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
Now, it all stemmed, the decision involved the case of a woman named Norma McCorvey. Mm-hmm. Now, she's from Dallas, Texas, if I understood
local
right.
Yokel, yeah.
Mm-hmm. As she is known in her lawsuit under the pseudonym Jane Roe, who in 1969 became pregnant with her third child and wanted an abortion. McCorvey lived in Texas, where abortion was illegal except when necessary to save the mother's life. And then she hired a couple of attorneys, Sarah Weddington and Linda Coffey, who filed a lawsuit on her behalf in U.S. federal court against her local district attorney. You may remember him, Henry Wade, in Dallas.
What a cluster! You know what that was back then too. It all started like in 1970, mid 70s, and the ruling didn't come down to 73.
And that's that has been challenged so many times, the Roe versus Wade, over the years.
You're right. Yeah. I mean, and they brought the Constitution into it. I mean, and rightfully so. I mean, I believe personally that it's everybody's right to choose. But when you're talking about the right of life, that brings a whole new set of rules in it. I mean, is there a constitutional right of life? You know, and in my research, I read that no one shall be arbitrarily deprived of their right of life, their liberty, and security of said person thereof, except in accordance with the principles of fundamental justice.
Well, that's heavy stuff.
Como en inglés, amigo.
That makes me want to drink coffee.
But I think it's everybody's right to choose. But me personally, when you're talking about a child's life, I mean, and I know and I agree there are circumstances to where you would consider aborting a child, mind you. But I think
let's talk about you.
Both sides should be involved in making that decision.
Well, yeah. I mean, let's face it. Before we start reading some of the comments and giving you some more statistics, let's take for instance. Let me give you a for instance.
Okay.
There's a girl in high school that gets pregnant.
Yeah, I know her.
See what I have to put up with?
She dated a friend of mine.
Oh, is that a friend wanted to know? I got you.
A friend told me about it.
Yeah, but let's say she gets pregnant.
Yeah.
What's your feeling on that? Should the boy be involved in all of these decisions?
I don't think either one of them are old enough to make a decision to create a baby, let alone whether they should abort it. And I remember back in our day in high school, it was not uncommon at all.
No.
Little teenagers would get what we used to call knocked up, and mom and daddy'd take them down to the clinic and get the baby
taken
aborted.
care of, and the boy was never seen again.
Keep your mouth shut in church about it, kind of a situation, because we don't need that black mark on our family name, you know, which is wrong to me. I mean,
I was doing some research on this. I mean, I have my own opinion, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
But there's so much that I'm not real up to date on as far as facts. So I did some research, Pappy, and I got this information here.
Staggering numbers.
Yes,
here.
staggering numbers that Pap and I are going to go over here. But it's put out yearly by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control. They publish it yearly, but relies on voluntary reports from state health departments. It's been missing data from California, New Hampshire, and at least one other state since 1998. They're not giving it.
Yeah.
But I was
off either.
these statistics started back in 1973. And looking at these statistics, it's going to be overwhelming to a lot of you, especially for those of you who look at it from a religious standpoint.
And keep in mind, they were aborting babies back in the 50s. It was experimental. Yeah. You know.
We've got Special K mic'd up today.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she's going to pop in and give us her opinion here. But I was looking at these numbers, Pappy, and it's just staggering.
It is.
Let's you and I take a look at. I mean, these all go back to 1973, and we're not going to bore you with those details. But let's take a look at
2018.
Yeah, 2018, 2019. Yeah. Let's start, Pappy, for the year 2013.
2013?
958,700 abortions.
Wow. Well, and as opposed to 73,744, 610. But in 2014, 926,190. Must have been a bad year for Whoopi. I don't know.
I'd like to have seen the statistics from the Woodstock age from, say, 1967 to 1972.
Probably 500,000 people that had babies running around. But, I mean, look at 2012, 1,011,000.
It's a lot. 2015 saw 899,500.
Wow.
Let's
2016, 874,100.
And in 2017, 862,320 abortions.
And for the year 2018-19, which must have been earlier in the year, 862,320. So it was on a downward trend. I mean, what happened between 2012 and 2018? I guess parents finally decided I need to have the talk. I guess I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge difference. That's crazy.
It really is. Looking at some of the comments that you folks sent in to us, it was very interesting to put all this on paper that we received, because some of it raised an eyebrow or two.
Mm-hmm.
But
and before we jump into that, the consequences of Roe versus Wade. Check this out: total abortions since 1973, 61,628,584.
Good Lord of mercy.
That's 61.5 million plus since 73.
Now you can look at it.
Wow.
If you're on a conservative, religious type of viewpoint,
Yeah.
that's 61 million children that were killed.
That didn't have the right of choice. But I mean,
That's putting it perfectly.
And I don't know the breakdown. I mean, the Constitution deemed that an unborn child does not have the right, obviously, for anything.
Well,
But I mean, where do you draw the line?
that's a very
where do you
good
draw the line?
question.
Even when mental and physical health or abuse or whatever comes into play, that legally, constitutional wise, gives you the right to abort that child. How do you know that child's going to be a monster or not right in the head or whatever until it's born? I mean, where's the line? That's the part that gets me. Yeah. So.
Well, sometime in the last few years, they can take embryonic fluid or stuff like that and sometimes detect deficiencies in a child.
Through science. Yeah. A lot of people have funny thoughts about that as well.
But still, I mean, does that give you the right to abort a baby?
To choose life. I mean, to choose life on somebody's behalf.
For them. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look, Pappy, at some of the comments we received from you viewers out there.
And as always, you guys stepped up.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome.
You really did, and we want you to buckle up your seatbelt so you don't take off.
Hold on. We won't mention too many last names here, especially locally.
Let's see. Darlita Holland says no to abortion. She said abortion is murder. A woman chooses her situation at the time of consent of sex. Mm-hmm. She believes that every child has a right to live and feels very strongly about it. Well, now, her and the next lady had several comments back and forth to each other, too.
I saw that. Cindy Gail Roberts Thomas says rape is not a consent. She agrees that it isn't right, but she has very strong feelings about it. She disagreed with the previous viewer's statement on the part that says a woman chooses her situation at the time of consent of sex. Now, my thoughts on that is a woman should at that time of consent. I mean, if you're not going to get on the pill or, as Pappy used to say, my old pops used to say, cover that stump before you hump. I mean, you're putting yourself in harm's way. If you don't want babies, do the necessary precautions that keeps you from creating one.
We had to get Karen up off the floor on that one. That was a good one.
She probably didn't understand what it meant.
Jerry Williamson says he does not agree with a right to choose. Abortion is murder.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people see it that way. Johnny Northcutt says it is murder. There's no other name for it.
Now look, I mean, we're starting to read these comments. It's a common theme here. Robert Wyman said aborting a living baby at any time is still murder. check out Israel's history and the sacrificing of their babies to Molech.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Wyman, I will yield to your knowledge of that. I'm not up on that. So,
Yeah.
those of you who know what he's talking about, you'll understand that a lot better than we are.
Well, we could research it, I guess.
Yeah.
But well said. We appreciate that, Robert. Donna Briggs Moss said abortion is just wrong.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people that feel that way, Pappy. I mean, really. Susan Saunders, for instance, says, yes, she does believe it is a woman's right to choose. Although, if there are any females, can't even say woman, using abortion as birth control, then she needs to have her ass beat. She says, I do not believe abortion is a means of birth control, but there are some circumstances that others don't know about and may not understand. Very good point.
I agree with that, Susan.
That's that's a very good point.
I mean,
One of the pictures we're going to be showing you throughout this broadcast is of a lady that has a T-shirt on bragging about the fact that she's had, there it is, 21 abortions. Stop and think about that, ladies and gentlemen. 21.
bet her doctor loves her.
21. Now, it appears to me that after the first one, you should know what gets you pregnant and take steps. Now, Special K has got something that she wants to say here. What is it?
What makes me so angry about that picture right there, she's birth controlling right there, but it makes me sad for those young women out there that cannot have children and would love to adopt one of those aborted babies.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 daughters in that situation, and that picture right there makes me angry.
Good point.
Now, keep the mic there, Karen, because I want to.
Don't run off.
I want to ask you. I mean, we have 3 daughters, and what did you do for 2 of them?
As far as conceiving,
No, controlling birth control.
when my daughters started having serious boyfriends, I took it upon myself to take them to the doctor and put them on birth control pills, because I didn't want them to go through getting pregnant and then ruining their chances, their thoughts of going to college or doing anything else in their life that they so choose to do, because they're strapped with a kid that they're ending up having to make a living for.
Sure. Well,
So,
Well said.
maybe right or wrong, I don't know. But I wanted to protect my 2 daughters
yeah.
Yeah.
from that.
Well, I mean, it doesn't just affect their lives. It affects mom and daddy's lives, too, I mean,
That's right.
financially.
Because 9 times out of 10, mommy and daddy are going to end up taking care of that kid.
That's right.
And they're trying to get their kids grown
Either
and out of the house.
Right, either financially or physically, and in
That's
a lot
right.
of cases, both.
But I also think when you're talking about murder and the rights of to choose to have an abortion, part of the mindset is, when do you believe a human becomes a human?
Yeah.
And some people believe it's outside of the womb once it's given birth. And if you're of Christian faith, you believe it's at the time of conception.
Absolutely.
There you go. Well,
know,
well said.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. That is well said. Al Barber said if the girls/women would just keep their legs together, this problem wouldn't exist.
You know, Al.
He'd be in a rubber room now.
Al. No, I'm agreeing with you here. I've told my girls, all 3 of them, the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get pregnant if you keep them legs together. So I always use those 4 words: keep your legs together.
Well, Dad used to tell my sister, he said, the way to stop from being pregnant, he said, I know things are going to happen, honey, when you get a little older, hopefully. He said, just use an aspirin. And she looked at him like a billy goat staring at a damn pocket watch, like, what? What do you mean? He said, you stick it on one side of your knee, bring that other knee in there, and just don't let the aspirin drop.
Well, there's a lot of folks that could be using that theory today, and it wouldn't hurt anybody's feelings.
Especially that lady in the last picture.
Yeah, Special K, I mean, and other than what she said just a few minutes ago, she got in on the conversation with the comments when she said, When she was in her late 30s, she was on the right to choose bandwagon. Today, 30 or so years later, I see so many young women who cannot have children and would love to adopt. What she was saying a while ago.
Absolutely, yeah.
Women still have the right to choose. They have the right to choose birth control. They have the right to choose not to sleep with every young man they think they love. Late-term abortion is nothing but a murder. It's a religious thing to her.
Yeah, just like we brought up earlier. You can't hardly talk about this subject matter without bringing religious or law into it, you know. I mean, Paul Struthers said that New York is allowing abortions of 9-month-olds, full-term babies, that just isn't right. He says those that do that, either a doctor or the mother, should be sentenced to prison for downright murder. I agree wholeheartedly with that. You abort a full-term baby, it just turns my stomach thinking about it.
Now, there's been a lot of speculation, a lot of talk out there. People talk about Planned Parenthood that are doing these abortions and selling children's parts to hospitals.
And precise research.
And okay,
Yes.
so Karen,
Yes.
what are you piping in?
Well, I remember when Planned Parenthood started way back when I was going to college. I went to Planned Parenthood. The original consensus of Planned Parenthood was not abortion at the time. It was more to provide birth control and to provide the ability for young girls to go and have their OBGYN checkups. That was the original basis of it. It just came to be what it is today.
Well,
Yeah,
morals and
that's true.
ethics were a whole lot different back then. I mean, remember back in the day, if you're pregnant, you're married. Or you're about to be.
Yeah,
You know?
and that dent
Whoop
in
out-
your back from that shotgun
Dad
gets a
or
little
Mom
bigger.
Whoop out the double-barrel shotgun and say, let's go see the preacher. Yeah.
Allie Burns said that the aborting of a baby at any stage of pregnancy goes against everything that is holy. She says those who take an innocent baby's life will have to answer to God someday, and the result will not be a pretty one. And that is Allie's perspective from a religious
And I
standpoint.
respect that. I do.
Here's your buddy.
Yeah, my buddy Greg Hill. Probably one of the sharpest cookies in the cookie jar.
He can hold a conversation, that's for sure.
Said he's very neutral on this subject because the question is too vague. So many variables to consider. Before you address this issue, you might want to tackle why over 80% of single parents are women and why only about 40% of all child support is paid in full. Buddy mine was 3 different times. He would rather see a conversation of men judging men on this issue. Greg went on to say he's been married for 30 years, has 2 children, grown, sort of, and we still support them when needed as parents should. But the abysmal number is the lack of child support paid in full. That shows not all are old-fashioned. It also shows, Brother Greg, that a lot don't follow the law.
Yeah, well, that's true too.
It's a lot more than moral obligation or responsibility. So,
David
yeah,
Harvey
well said,
out of Emory says it's murder, not a choice.
yep. Bob Baker up in Amarillo says to choose what? Premeditated murder of the unborn child.
Interesting. Now, I hope I get this one.
Neckabange.
Neckabange. Mary Gertrude Neckabange says it depends on what? Circumstances, I would imagine.
I would imagine that's what she's talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah. Big Billy Bryan said, just the woman's right to choose? Seems like there's a lot more than just 2 people involved. And I feel you on that because I know a whole lot of single baby daddies that's raising those babies. So
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just not the woman's right to choose. I mean, it's what we touched on briefly a while ago when we started the show. It's you got more to consider. The baby's daddy, for instance, should have a say in this. And how about the baby?
Exactly.
You know, I think that's the
Baby-
two that
baby
he was
doesn't have
talking
that
about.
right
Yeah.
till down the road. I mean,
Yeah, that's
by
true.
law.
Jimmy Pierce said there are plenty of men that never get child support either.
Absolutely, that's what I was just saying about what Billy was saying.
I think we've already mentioned David
Yeah. Scott Dacre
Dacre.
said it's the state's right. Vote.
Well,
Seems like that's what everything's coming to. Vote for it.
it seems like it, doesn't it, Pappy?
Yeah.
Darla Walker says that babies have rights from conception, and there is always adoption. Unless the mother's health is really in danger, then it should be against the law.
Bingo.
Yeah.
I agree, darling. I appreciate that comment, by the way. Jamie Ward in Mississippi said her take is this: if it takes two to make a baby, then two should decide. She is anti-abortion, so you should decide to follow God and live. In the case of rape, there's a pill called Plan B. Go get it. In the case of medical, that's between you, the baby daddy, the doctor, and God. God bless.
I've never heard of that. Plan B.
I hadn't
appeal.
either.
So that's a new one on me, Jamie. I'm sure some of you ladies out there know what she's talking about. Forgive us that we don't know
I've
that.
never heard it. I mean,
Yeah.
I wish they'd have made something like that for men.
Other than the other pill.
Yeah, yeah. That's the one that
Get
got
it
me in
up or
trouble.
get it out.
Get it up or get it over. Yeah, get it
Yeah.
out.
Christine Wiley said the woman wearing the T-shirt that says she has had 21 abortions is worse than a serial killer. At least a serial killer's victims were not defenseless.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go along with that.
Oh, Crawdaddy Crawford Young said if we were
This is a good one.
if we were intelligent, we would have the boys get a vasectomy at birthright after being circumcised. Then you can tell them bang away.
Crawdaddy.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Helen Johnson said just keep your legs together, what we were talking about a while ago.
That's why we hadn't started a family yet.
To that picture.
Oh yeah, she was if COVID-19 forces Planned Parenthood to be closed for 2 weeks, the virus will have saved more lives than it's taken. Sorry, I'm having trouble reading that monitor, but that's about the size of it.
No, I think you ought to.
Yeah,
do
according to
a
how you look at
suggestion,
it.
Read that again.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and that's probably true. Probably a fact. Yeah. So,
This is such a touchy subject, ladies and
It
gentlemen, and here again we just thought we would bring it up based on a suggestion by some of our listeners out there. And if you have a subject matter you want us to tackle and hear from our viewers, your fellow Americans on what they feel about it, just be sure to send it in to us, and we'll take a look at it and tackle it.
yeah, shoot it into us at Grandpa and Pappy at gmail.com or directly on our website.
www.grandpapappy.com.
Yeah, and while you're there, push that big red button that says subscribe and subscribe to us. Leave us a comment.
There it is.
A thumbs up, thumbs down. It looks a lot like this one. What color is that big red button again?
Let's take a look at some of the viewer comments we got in. Gigi Carter says our Memorial Day show was touching. She loved it and loves us both for doing it. She also loves Special K for her montage.
Gigi's sweet lady. Yeah, that's Susan Saunders' mama.
I believe so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's a sweetheart. Thanks for sending it in, Gigi. We appreciate it. Belinda Tatum up in Oklahoma said, great show, guys, on our Memorial Day special. We enjoyed doing it. I personally, I wish it could have been a lot longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could have been. It could have been and should have been, I guess. Brandon Brown sent in a note just to say a simple thank you, guys. His brother was featured on the Memorial Day show.
Yeah, our pleasure.
Thank you, Brian.
Least we could do for
Brandon.
a sacrifice, yeah. Old Brian Emerton, old hillbilly picking friend of ours that plays our closing music. A buddy up in Tennessee said, "Damn good show, fellas, on the Memorial Day show."
Yeah.
Well, you was a part of it, brother.
You sure were. And what a great job he did on the...
yeah, he played the music for the montage.
Yes,
It was pretty
he
awesome.
sure
Him
did.
And, him and the
He
drummer boy.
created
I don't know
it,
who.
yeah.
I don't know who was rat-a-tatting on the drums, but he did a good show.
He surely did. A.C. Thompson said our Memorial Day show was well thought out and showed a lot of respect on our part. He says we should all think about the men and women who both lost their lives and those who serve in the military.
Absolutely. Once again, thank you all for your sacrifice. We love it. Cammie Stewart says that our Facebook Folly show had her rolling and reminded her of why she actually gets on Facebook. Some of the things we featured were downright funny.
They were.
By God, they were. Thanks for sending that in, Cammie. Glad to have you along.
Jimmy Logan sent us a howdy from Amarillo
Yeah.
and said he wished he had found our channel before our Memorial Day show so he could have sent a photo of his cousin, Specialist Roger Blake, who died fighting in Afghanistan. He said our program was thoughtful and respectful. Jimmy, thank you for sending that in, and I
Thank you for feeling it. Yeah.
I wished you could have got that into us
Well,
also.
Tell you what, send it along down the road, and I mean, we've been known to salute our patriots and people that fight for our freedoms and our rights.
We sure have. We sure have.
I ain't scared. We'll do it again, by God. Yeah, but we appreciate you getting in touch with us, Jimmy, and welcome aboard. Ann Elliott said on Twitter, 3 cheers for a great Memorial Day special. Well, thank you much, Miss Elliott.
It was a lot of fun.
We appreciate
It really
appreciate
was.
the love.
Today's show, we hope, did not upset you in any form or fashion. It was not meant to be, but I thought it was a very thoughtful representation of what people thought about the subject.
Yeah, I'll probably take the next 2 weeks off of Gmail and Facebook and YouTube. And in a sense, and I'm not being, I've been known to be catty and a smart ass, but I hope it did rattle the cage a little bit. Because the only way it's going to change is if we, the people, change it.
That's correct. That is
But,
correct.
on something like this, there's so many variables and so much morals and ethics involved in it. you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Law really doesn't have anything to do with it.
Once again, send us your comments, folks, and your ideas for programs, because that's what this thing is all about. To give you that platform, send it in to us at grandpaandpappy@gmail.com.
Or www.grandpa, and the letter N, grandpaandpappy.com on our website. Subscribe, tell a friend about it. Flip us a finger, give us a thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you want to do. We'd love to have you aboard.
We sure would. Friday's show ought to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Pappy came up with this just right off the top of his head, and he's been getting it blown out on Facebook.
I'm sure I'll catch hell over it.
If you could rid the earth of one thing, what would it be? Let us hear from you. We're going to
Just
read
one?
every one of them.
Just one?
Every one of them.
I can think of 6 real quick.
And we're looking forward to the Friday show.
Yes, we are.
Pappy, another good show.
So good having everybody along.
Enjoyed it.
We love you guys.
And
we really
we
do.
will,
Y'all rock.
We will see you on Friday. Until then, we want to say thank you.
Yep.
God bless. Be safe.
Take care of
Take
one
care.
another. Love you.
Bye-bye.